Welcome back to So What Does That Mean? The podcast where we break down engineering, planning, and construction in plain English. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Joanne. If you're a developer, builder, homeowner, investor, or just someone trying to make sense of the construction world, you're in the right place.
Every episode, we take something that can cost people real money, real time, and real stress, and we unpack it in a way that actually makes sense.
No jargon walls, no lectures, just practical, common sense advice from the people who see these issues every day. Okay, Brendan, today's topic is one that genuinely scares people, I would say, and honestly, it probably should. We're talking about what happens when your builder goes broke in the middle of your job.
It's the phone call nobody wants. The site's gone quiet, the supervisor isn't answering, then you hear the words administrators, and suddenly your half-finished house is somebody else's asset in a liquidation.
And this isn't a rare horror story anymore, is it?
Not even close to rare. Construction is the single biggest source of company collapses in the country. In the 24-25 financial year, around 3,490 construction firms went under, a record. That's roughly one building company failing every 2.5 hours all year long.
One every 2.5 hours. That's a confronting way to put it.
And construction on its own is about a quarter, around 27% of every company failure in Australia. Across every industry, one sector, a quarter of the carnage.
So this isn't a bad builder problem. It's a structural problem?
That's exactly the framing for today. Because most people think collapse is something that happens to other people who picked a dodgy builder. The data says otherwise. Even big, established names have gone down. So today, we're going to talk about why it keeps happening, what it actually does to your project, and how you protect yourself before it's your site that goes quiet.
So let's start with the why, because from the outside, demand for housing is huge. How are builders going broke in a building boom?
It's the great paradox of this market. Plenty of work, but almost no margin. Most of these collapses trace back to one thing. Fixed price contracts that were signed where materials and labor cost one thing and then delivered when they cost a lot more. The builder is legally locked into the old price while the bills keep climbing.
How big was the cost jump?
House construction prices went up more than 40% between 2020 and 2024. Imagine quoting a fixed price, then watching your costs climb 40% while you're still on the hook for the old number. You can be busy, fully booked, and quietly bleeding to death on every single job.
So volume actually makes the problem worse.
Sometimes it does. If every job loses a little, more jobs just means you lose faster. That's the cruel part. A collapsing builder often looks incredibly busy right up until the end.
Is it mostly like small operators?
Mostly, yes, but 2/3 of collapses are small builders with fewer than 5 staff. Thin margins, not much in reserve. But, and this is the bit that should make everyone pay attention, size is not protection. We've seen some of the biggest names in the country wobble or fall. Balance sheet size doesn't cancel out a bad.
So why is the barrier to entry so low in the first place?
There's a line that gets quoted in the industry. All you need is a ute and a shovel. You can run $1 million building company without ever being required to read a balance sheet. There are no mandatory financial qualifications to be a construction director, so you get genuinely skilled tradespeople who are brilliant on the tools and underwater on the cash flow.
So you call this episode the collapse contagion. Why contagion?
Because a builder going under is never a clean, contained event. The builder owes the subbies. The subbies owe their suppliers. The suppliers owe somebody else. One collapse can drag a whole chain of small businesses down with it. The unpaid invoices ripple outward.
So even if you're not the client, you can become the victim.
Exactly. A subcontractor who put all their eggs in one builder's basket can be wiped out by that builder's failure, even though they did nothing wrong and did great work.
Give people a sense of the scale when a big one goes.
The example everyone remembers is Porter Davis. When it collapsed, it left around 1,700 homes mid-build across Victoria and Queensland. plus hundreds more families who'd signed contracts for houses that hadn't even started. One company, 1,700 unfinished homes. Real families living in rentals, paying a mortgage on a slab.
That's absolutely devastating.
And there's a human cost we don't talk about enough. Pressure in this industry is brutal. Male construction workers are nearly twice as likely to take their own lives as other employed Australian men the same age. When we talk about insolvency statistics, there are real people behind every number, builders and subbies, not just clients.
That's an important thing to sit with for a second. If you're a builder listening and you're under that kind of pressure, please reach out to someone. This stuff is survivable. The worst outcomes aren't worth it. There's support out there and people who want to help.
Couldn't agree more. And from the business side, the lesson is the same in both directions. Don't over-concentrate your risk and don't wait until it's a crisis to get advice.
Okay, let's get really practical here. The builder collapses, the site's half built. Mechanically, what happens from here?
An administrator or liquidator gets appointed. Their job is to deal with the company's assets and debts, not to finish your house. Your project basically stops. The contract is now tangled up in an insolvency process, and you, the owner, are usually just one of the long line of creditors.
What about insurance? Doesn't that cover it?
Sometimes, partly. There are state schemes, home warranty insurance in Queensland, home building compensation in New South Wales, and they can cover some of the cost of finishing or fixing the work, but they come with caps, eligibility rules, and exclusions. People assume it's a full safety net. It's more like a partial cushion, and plenty of owners still end up tens of thousands out of pocket.
And then you have to go find a new builder.
Which is its own nightmare. A new builder has to come in, assess work they didn't do, take on liability for a structure they didn't build, re-quote in today's prices, and round up subbies who may already be burned. That completion job almost always costs significantly more than the original contract. You're effectively paying a premium to clean up someone else's mess.
This is where the engineering side actually matters, isn't it?
Hugely. When a new builder or owner picks up a half-finished structure, somebody independent needs to verify what's actually being built. Were the footings done to the design? Is the slab right? Is the frame compliant? Was the waterproofing done before it got covered up? If you just trust the half-finished work and keep going, you can inherit defects you'll never see until they fail.
Are there any red flags? Things people should actually notice before it happens?
There are, and they're worth knowing. Watch for payment terms suddenly stretching out. The builder slow paying or asking you to bring payments forward. Watch for a sudden flood of variation disputes. A builder under pressure will often contest variations just to defer or claw back cash. And watch for senior finance or commercial staff quietly leaving. That internal churn is often the first crack.
What about the project itself?
Slowly progress with no clear reason. Subbies not showing up, suppliers refusing to deliver without upfront payment. That's a big one because suppliers usually know who's not paying their bills before the public does. And vague, defensive answers when you ask simple questions about timing.
So you're saying the supply chain often knows first?
Almost always. And the data backs this up. Most of these collapses aren't sudden. They're slow. The distress typically builds over 12 to 18 months before the company actually falls over. So there's usually a window where the signs are visible if you know what to look for.
Let's make this useful. If I'm about to build or develop, how do I protect myself?
First, check who you're dealing with before you signed, not after. Look at the builder's license, their history, their track record on completed projects. Don't just look at the glossy display home. Look at whether they finish what they start.
And second?
Understand your contract. Really understand it. A fixed price feels safe to a client, but if it's so tight the builder can't survive it, that's not actually safe. That's shared risk you can't see. Know what the price includes, what triggers a variation, and what happens if costs move.
Thirdly?
Don't overpay ahead of work done. Progress payments should track actual completed work on site, not be front-loaded. If you've paid for a stage that isn't built and the builder folds, The money is extremely hard to get back.
Is there a fourth?
Get independent eyes on the work at key stages, not just the builder's own sign-off. An independent inspection at slab, frame, lockup, and pre-handover means problems are caught while they're still fixable and while there's still a builder around to fix them.
And this is where JCE actually fits.
It is. This is squarely our lane. We do independent structural and pre-purchase inspections, defect inspections, and we help people make sense of the engineering side of a contract before they commit. We also offer a service we call Quote Guard. The whole idea being to help clients understand whether what they're being quoted and promised actually stacks up technically before they're locked in.
Because a quote that looks cheap can be the most expensive thing you've ever signed.
We've said that before on this show, and it's never been more true. In a market where a record number of builders are failing, the cheapest quote can be the one from the builder who's about to go under because they've underpriced to win work they can't actually deliver.
What if someone's listening and it's already happened? Their builder's gone, so what do they do now?
First, don't panic and don't rush to keep building. Stop, get clear on where the insolvency process is up to and what scheme cover you might have. Lodge whatever claims you're entitled to properly and on time.
And what else should they do?
Get the structure independently assessed before anyone touches it again. You need to know exactly what's been built, what's compliant, what's hidden, and what has to be opened up and checked. That assessment becomes the foundation for the completion contract.
And finally,
don't sign a completion contract that makes the new builder responsible for the old builder's work without anyone actually verifying that work first. That's how you end up paying twice, once to build it, once to fix it.
So independent engineering assessment is the hinge point?
It's the thing that turns a chaotic mess into a clear, costed plan. And that's genuinely the work we enjoy. Walking into a stalled, stressful situation and giving someone a clear picture of where they actually stand.
So just zoom out for me for a second. Is this crisis ending?
There are early signs the rates of new failures may be leveling off. One recent quarter actually ticked down slightly, but less bad is not the same as good. The pressures are still there. Tight margins, cost volatility, tax debts catching up with companies, and new cost obligations landing. I'd call it a high plateau, not a recovery.
So the takeaway isn't don't build.
Definitely not. People still need homes, developers still need good projects, and there are plenty of excellent financially sound builders out there. The takeaway is go in with your eyes open, check who you're dealing with. Structure the contract sensibly, don't overpay ahead of work, and get independent technical eyes on the project at the key moments.
So essentially, protect yourself, don't paralyze yourself.
Exactly. Here's some practical takeaways. 1. Builder collapse is common now, not rare. And 3,500 construction failures in a single year, about a quarter of all company failures in the country.
2, the main driver is fixed price contracts colliding with cost rises. So a busy builder can still be a broke builder.
Number 3, collapse spreads. Subbies and suppliers get dragged down too. So don't over-concentrate your risk.
4, insurance schemes help but don't fully cover you. Expect caps and gaps.
5, check the builder, understand the contract, and never pay far ahead of completed work.
And 6, get independent engineering inspections at key stages, before, during, and especially if you're completing someone else's half-built job. Have you been caught up in a builder collapse as an owner, a subbie, or a supplier? What was the warning sign you wish you'd acted on?
Tell us on YouTube or message us through JCE. These real stories help other people spot the danger early. A builder going broke isn't just bad luck. In this market, it's a foreseeable risk. And foreseeable risk is exactly the kind of thing you can plan around.
You can't control whether a builder fails, but you can control how exposed you are when it does.
That's where independent engineering advice earns its keep. Checking the work, checking the contract logic, and making sure you're not the last person to find out something's wrong.
If this episode made you think differently about your build, share it with someone who's about to sign a building contract. Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, and connect with us on LinkedIn.
And as always, if you've got a topic, a question, or a building headache you want us to unpack, send it through to JCE. We genuinely enjoy this stuff.
Thanks again for listening.
See you on the next one.